right, 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. She blinded me, Robin, with science. There you go. She blinded me with something. I know that. I don't know if it was science or not. Jim George is in the studio, and that very thing you're listening to right there, that song right there, first came to our ears through this very medium called radio. At least it did for me. Maybe that was one of those videos maybe I was one of those. But either way, the way that gets to us is through the very thing that Jim George works with, which is the very thing that you and I work with. They're kind of different ends of the same thing. Jim is the owner of American Cable Services, and he comes on to answer our questions about technology, and especially how it affects us in our homes. And if you have a question, just want to be part of the conversation, you are invited to be part of it or to ask your question. The number is 622-WOCA. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Good. We were just having I love radio. And I told you that off the air. And whether, even if I wasn't working in it, well, actually, you would think that I wouldn't love it working in it, that I'd be so sick of it, but I'm not. I love it.
Right. I agree.
I even like listening to shows that really have nothing to do with me. Like, I can listen to a sports program. There's a sports program here on WOCA, I think, on Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not.
And I don't really follow sports at all, but I just like hearing, like when Tom and the guys do the Friday Night Football.
Right.
I'll listen to it. I don't really follow the game, but I kind of like the banter. I like the little factoids they tell about the guys, the young men on the field, and all that. So
right.
I don't know why. So.
Well, I've been in the TV business for like 48 years now, and my wife will get discouraged with me. We'll go visit somebody or I drive to a beautiful area, and she'll be remarking about the green grass and the rolling hills and the trees. And I said, look at that antenna over there.
Of course.
I wonder what frequency they're on. That's probably a 2 meter. And then when we go on vacation somewhere, it's always because I'm going to a cable TV convention, or I'm going someplace, so I drag her to Vegas,
right.
or some other place. Like next month in Atlanta is the Society for Cable Television Engineers yearly, annual, ever how you want to say it, convention. It'd be all technical people from around the world.
Right, yeah.
And then in January is the National Association of Broadcasters.
Oh, yeah.
And that's in Vegas. And then you have the National Association of Radio Broadcasters, which is its own. And then you have the National Association of Religious Broadcasters, which is its own. So,
and chances are that the guys who go to the broadcasters convention don't know anything about the nuts and bolts of how it works. Very few of us who do what Robin and I do know what you know.
Right.
Exactly.
Very few of us. Once in a while, you'll find somebody.
And that's what the Society of Cable Television Engineers about. It's there's no marketing people there. There's no one there from the programming side like HBO or Showtime. It's strictly all the technical parts.
Right.
Yet if you go to the National Cable Television Association convention, there's no engineers there. It's all programmers. That's where HBO is, Showtime is. They're all talking about their new programs, HBO Go, or other programs coming on. The Cars channel, the Pets channel.
Do you still have fun? It's in Vegas, so is it still fun? Just simply being in Vegas?
No, it's too much work. What happens is you're usually in the convention floor from like 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m., and you're on your feet. And then when you get off, a lot of the people, younger people, they all want to go out to eat. They all want to do this. Right. All I want to do is go back and soak my feet, get a good book, and I'm really a party pooper when it comes to. My wife will tell you I don't go anywhere.
No. Yeah. So she's sitting in the whole time you're in.
Oh, no, she's partying. She's out.
Oh, I got you.
Her and the girls, they go.
Oh, that's good.
There you go. Is there any kind of equipment that you have? You had mentioned that you saw the tower and that you wonder what frequency it's on. Do you have a little device where as you're passing those towers as an engineer you can tell?
No, it's usually just the education that I've put up towers before. I've put up antennas before. The longer the antenna, usually the shorter the wavelength. In other words, a channel 2 antenna might be 10 foot long to receive channel 2 on a tower. But an antenna to receive channel 51 is only like 2 foot long.
Oh, wow.
So you see, the higher the frequency, the smaller the antenna. The lower the frequency, like 54 megahertz needs a 10-footer, and 450 megahertz needs a 3-footer. So
Really?
I look and see, and I'm guessing what frequency it's on, and why is it aimed in that direction? What's in that direction? You know.
So, and one thing that and I guess most announcers know this part, that the tower and the antenna are two different things.
Yes.
Some people will point to a tower and say, "Look at that antenna,"
Yeah.
and you'll say, "You can see the antenna from here."
Yeah.
Sure, right there. All right, let's go to the phone. Good morning. Thank you for being patient with us. You're on the air with Jim George.
Good morning, Mr. George. There was a program on last night about how people's home hotspots, or the Wi-Fi was compromised, and it got to the point where they could look through at the baby monitor and things like that if it was set up with a camera. And to me, it seems that these people didn't follow through with the security that they should have put on the Wi-Fi apparatus as opposed to it. But anyway, I thought it was very startling, and I was just hung up and listened to your comments on that. And what we as lay people could do to protect ourselves from the hacking of your Wi-Fi if you have a Wi-Fi set up for your computer. Thank you.
That is a good.
You're welcome. Well, the average homeowner is expecting that his neighborhood is fairly secure. And so the password he puts on his, first of all, when you put a wireless system in, you name it. You call it Lisa or Susan, or it's got a name, all right? And then, because if you don't name it, it'll name itself. It'll say a Cisco 2105,
right,
you know? Right. And then the other thing is you put a password on it after that. So the password is usually something that you need to remember, yourself. So what you're doing is if your address is 5701, you might put down 5701 LW.
Okay.
Because it's easy for you to remember. It's
right.
Street. Well, someone in front of your house trying to break into you is going to guess at all those things. They're going to look at your mailbox. They're going to put an address. They're going to do something. And 9 times out of 10, they cannot break in. But there's a hackers convention every year in Orlando.
Really?
I went one year, and I was totally flabbergasted. These people can break into anything, and they just do it for the fun of it.
So if somebody goes onto your Wi-Fi, can they access your computer?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they can see. And then once they access your computer, and that may not happen instantaneously, they may have to send you a cookie. And what they'll do is they'll see what your email address is. They'll send you a hello, my name is, like to get together, whatever it is, or they might get a coupon from Winn-Dixie and send it to you. Say open up for a free coupon, and then that cookie will attack, let's say, your computer. Then the next time you turn your computer on, that cookie gets loaded, and then they can go in there and look at your computer. So when you first got your computer and you registered with Microsoft, they will see your name, your address, your telephone number, everything. If you had a credit card, they see it all. So there really is no secure way unless you just really get a real good password. I mean, you got to have a real good password.
Oh, wow. And you do have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim George.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Say, speaking of antennas before, last week I broke the antenna off my radio. I hope this question isn't too goofy, but I'd get my AM stations, but why can't I? How come I'm kind of like dead in the water with FM? Why does FM need an antenna where AM can survive without it?
Well, it has to do with the wavelength, and if you were to put like a little piece of wire around the stub that's left, that would be a great AM antenna. But to have an FM antenna, you have to have something we call a dipole. Basically, it comes up to like a Y. So, and has insulators on it. So that little antenna that the radio comes with, that's actually tuned. And when you pull it the full distance or you touch it, you ever have your radio where you come across a weak FM station, and when you go up to change to see if you can fine tune it, the closer you get to it, the clearer it gets. And you haven't even touched it yet.
Right.
Yeah, that's because now you're the antenna.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, you can actually put the radio next to you or hold it, and then all of a sudden you're, like you say, you're an antenna.
Yeah, so in the years when they used to have the metal screens, now they have all this fiber wire for your screens on your window.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just go ahead and poke a piece of wire into the screen and then tie it to the antenna, and the screen was my antenna.
Oh, wow.
You can't do that anymore. It's all fiber.
That's right, they're
Yeah.
all cloth.
I know with some of the FM stations, if I put the radio like even against a wall, I can pick up the station.
Yeah.
It kind of works like an antenna. But
Well,
you think now with technology and and that they would have a situation where the waves would hit a radio without an antenna, would just come right to the radio like an AM receiver would be.
Yeah, well, Larry and I, we remember the older radios that when you opened the back up, the back was like a cardboard back, and
Right.
it had this roll of wire wrapped around and around and around.
Right.
That was your AM antenna. Your
Okay.
FM antenna was always two little screws in the back. They said hook a wire here and hook it to an outside antenna. Yeah, you need
Right.
more
Wow.
more signal for your FM. Your AM will
Yeah.
cut right through the walls and everything.
Yeah,
But
I noticed too with my radio, like if it's real early in the morning, I have a little maybe trouble sleeping. I put the radio on, and on my AM I can get like Atlanta, I can get New Orleans and Nashville, but on FM it's more local, or it isn't that far away. Is that just a stronger signal on AM?
Well, it may be, but it's mostly what we call skip, and that is the
Okay.
AM radio goes up to the ionosphere, hits the clouds and bounces back down. FM doesn't. FM cuts right through the ionosphere and disappears. So,
Yeah.
AM is actually the better radio frequency. It's like the Betamax VCR. It was
Yeah.
the better recording,
Right,
but
right.
marketing won out, and the Panasonic VHS, became the de facto. But people who had the old beta systems will tell you it was a much clearer picture. You could
Yeah.
stop frame. You could do all the professional people still use like the 3/4 inch and the 1 inch Sony Betamax configurations.
Yeah.
It's only us homeowners who use VHS.
Because it's
Yeah.
cheaper.
Are airlines on an AM frequency?
You mean for talking to their ground base? You mean?
Yeah.
No, they're almost on something like a shortwave radio. They're on a frequency
that's
all of their
different.
own.
Oh, so that's all different then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know when I called in last time, when we were talking about how you got to shut off your electrical stuff when you're flying, when you're taking off and landing. And I just recently in the news now, I guess they're allowing you with a lot of more freedom with that. So they must have some advancements in technology that you can use your phone or you can whatever, and you don't have to turn everything off anymore. That's what I had heard on the news about. I think that was last week.
Right. Well, years ago, the cell phones had something printed on the back that said intrinsically safe. And that was, if you had that kind of cell phone, it meant that you could pump gas without having to turn your cell phone off. But,
yeah.
But nowadays, they still have the sign that says if you're pumping gas, turn your cell phone off.
Yeah, right.
Interesting. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Why were transistor radios able to get the signals so clear? While I was growing up, I had a cousin, and he was my age, and he was a sports nut, and he would plug that earpiece in his transistor radio and just walk around, listen to the ball games, and the signal was unbelievably clear.
Right. It's the way the antenna is designed inside. Remember maybe 2 or 3 years ago when they were advertising these cell phone boosters? You open the back of your cell phone, you slide this little thin piece of plastic in there, and then it's supposed to boost. Well, it did a little bit, but not much. But it was just it was what we call thin film technology, and it was a little piece of plastic that had an antenna woven inside of it. So these little pocket radios, like the Sony Walkman and those kind of
Right.
things, they have a better antenna.
Do you ever remember, and maybe they still sell them, but they used to advertise that the wiring of your house will become your antenna. When you plug this into the wall, I don't know that was ever worked for me. I used to plug it, but do you remember that as a sales pitch? The wiring of your house becomes the antenna.
That's maybe a couple more years away, but it's practical now. You can, if you have an internet on one side of your house and you don't want to do a wireless because maybe you're afraid of doing wireless, you can go to Best Buy or Walmart and you can buy these little devices called Ethernet over power line. It's about $38, and
Really?
and it's 2 pieces. So you plug the internet into the piece and you plug it into your wall. Then you go into your back bedroom and you plug this into the electric, and Ethernet comes out.
Wow.
So you're using your house wiring for your Ethernet, for your internet, without any wireless capability. And that shuts to answer the question of the first caller, now you don't have to worry about the security of having a wireless system in your home.
You know, and I
Wow.
wonder how many people actually, and you've talked about the, what do you call it when you just get one or two channels? What do you call that again? A la carte? A la carte?
Yes.
Oh, I say yes, a la carte.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many people have 100, 200 channels, and really, if they actually monitored their own habits, they probably only watch 5, maybe. That's probably common,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah. Well, at one time they said that 37% of America did not have cable TV of any sort, and that number keeps growing. And the reason why it's growing is because of the internet.
Yeah.
People are saying, well, why should I have 100 channels? There's one lady in a development we serve that says, I turn my TV on channel 2 in the morning. I leave it on all day. I do my laundry. I watch
Yeah, right,
it.
right.
And then when I go to bed, I turn it off. It's on channel 2. She said, and yet I got to pay for, 25 or 50 channels, and I'm only watching one. That person would be better off actually getting the computer, going to WNBC or whatever it is, getting the channel they want, displaying it on their TV, and they're done, and they wouldn't have a bill at all.
Oh, wow. That is fascinating.
They only want 1 or 2 channels.
Yeah, really.
When you go to those cable conventions, what do you bring with you that you share with others? Because you're out and about everywhere, and you've got all this acute observation.
What I like to do when I go to a convention, I just was at one Wednesday night. I went to CompTel in Orlando, which was put on by Level 3, which is the world's largest internet supplier. And when I go up to a booth, most of the guys are sitting there just begging for someone to come by, and talk
really?
to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I go into their booth and I usually say, well, tell me what it is you do. And 9 times out of 10, they cannot tell you.
Wow.
Because they're
that's
number
crazy.
one, because they're totally taken off guard. No one's ever asked them what it is you do.
What do you do? I don't know.
Number 2, they really got to think about it because they don't really know where you're coming from.
I did that to the girl
Yeah.
at McDonald's. I said, what kind of a fish is in the fish sandwich?
Yeah.
And she said, fried?
Yeah.
I think.
And they'll say things like, we make this box and what this box does. But Bob knows that, and Bob will be here in a minute.
Right. You probably could have told them what they do. We have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim George.
Good morning. This is Sonny again. You mentioned this Ethernet through using your house wiring.
Yes.
And you can get that. Where I am, it seems like we have a lot of power surges and disruptions of the electrical service. Our subdivision has underground wiring, but it is fed from the whole subdivision is fed from poles from somewhere.
Right.
But anyway, what I'm getting at is I'm just wondering what all these surges and lightning strikes and everything else would do to whatever you have running along your electrical system. I have a whole house surge protector, and a lot of the equipment I have small surge protectors for each one of these things, and I had one piece of equipment that I need. It's a medical piece of equipment, and that went out one time, and I had to call up the manufacturer or the engineering and that involved with it and get a whole thing reset up again. But I'm just wondering what this deal would do to your computers and this Ethernet hookup if you get a surge. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
This is basically a converter. It's allowing the wiring alone to be used as an antenna. There's really no power. The only reason why you plug it in is to have the connectivity. There's a filter in it. So when the Ethernet comes out, there's no power on there. There's no voltage on that device. So it's not like the voltage will go up or go down. Now it can destroy those little devices. It's $38 for 2, so it's like $19 a piece. But they come in kits because they're frequency connected. It's basically putting a high frequency over a piece of electrical wire. It's basically what it is. But there are surge protectors, and then there are surge protectors. If you go and just tell your electrician you want one, and he goes to the electrical wholesale house and buys one and puts it in for you, that's probably a good 60-70% protection on your house. But if you tell him the model number you want and those type of things, and he puts it in, your house could be totally like 95% protective. And in town, in Ocala, we have one of the world's largest manufacturers of surge protectors called EDCO, EDCO.
I didn't know that.
And so, and there's another company in Tampa that's the second world's largest manufacturer of surge protectors. So you just go online and type in Florida-made surge protectors, and these are people that deal with this power surge every day. And they have, I mean, you can get a whole house protector for $120 or one for $950. But the $950, it will protect your house.
You know, there was a story out of Long Island about a house that burnt down because the power had been turned off. I guess it may have been during Hurricane Sandy last year. And then when the power was turned back on, it was such a jolt that the house burned down. Now, every house didn't burn down, even though every house suddenly had the electricity back on. And I don't know if this is exactly in line with what you normally talk about, Jim, but what would be wrong with a person's electrical system if that would happen? It sounds like if it didn't burn down every house, there must have been something wrong with her house.
Yeah, it was a loose bolt. Basically, you're in a house and cars go by the street. And when cars go by the street, believe it or not, your house vibrates.
Oh.
And those little screws that are on the back of your outlet,
right,
and those little screws that are in your panel, and those screws that are in the meter can outside, they rattle a little loose. And if they're not real tight, then you don't get a complete connection. And so the voltage arcs over. So it's jumping from the screw connector to your wire.
So you heard the follow-up of that story then?
Oh, yeah. Like just this morning, I was in Rexall picking up some parts, and the guy showed a picture of the number 2. It's the size of your thumb wire. All the jacket was melted off of it. The power company like Seco, when they installed the meter on the house, a brand new house, they didn't tighten down the bolts. And so what was happening was voltage was flowing, but it was arcing, and all the jacket was melting off the wire.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And eventually that jacket would catch on fire and then burn the house down. The electrician saw it, took a picture. The power company came right out and said, yep, the bolts, the installer did not tighten down the bolts.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you know, the first time I ever heard the word ether was, I don't know if you know, do you know who Edgar Cayce is? The sleeping psychic, the sleeping prophet, whatever. And he would talk about the ether as, I mean, I kind of imagine the ether was this, I don't know, this way to communicate with other minds or with God or whatever. And now we call these wires the Ethernet. Is there a connection between
I wouldn't know that. It might be a Latin word or something. I'm not familiar with that.
Maybe.
Matter of fact, when I first heard Ethernet, people would say, we don't have an internet system. We have an active Ethernet system.
Oh.
And I think the difference is the Ethernet uses switches and routers, whereas the internet can use switches and routers and all type of splitters and everything else. So I'm not really familiar with the name.
And the other confusing thing was the intranet versus the internet. I remember in the beginning, you would say, do you have the internet? No, we have intranet. And what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, intranet would be like a local area network, a LAN. That's what we call it. When you see on the side of a part you buy, connect the LAN here.
Right.
So like in your case, the city of Ocala comes in with their fiber and converts the fiber to Ethernet. And then you connect that to your LAN, your local area network inside your building.
And that is really fascinating because when the computers really first came, where they were small enough and then each business had their own computer, there was nothing outside. It was just within their own offices.
Right.
And you're enabling people to just literally go all over the world with what you do.
Right.
It is amazing what you do. We couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for you doing what you do.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, right?
Exactly.
Jim, what's your phone number?
854-9795.
And your website?
www.americable.us. AmeriCable is America, with BLE on the end, so it spells AmeriCable.us.
There you go. And call us if you need that repeated. If you want some great cable service, call American Cable Services. Jim will talk to you about how you can do that, and upgrade, or maybe get the a la carte we're talking about, or maybe he'll even talk you out of cable totally, like that lady. He doesn't mind losing money, right?
No.
All right, we'll, Jim, thank you for what you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll take a little break. Be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. We're at Florida. Partial sunshine and very nice today with a passing shower near the coast, high 84 to 87. Partly cloudy tonight, a shower or thunderstorm in spots in the evening, low 67 to 76. Partly sunny tomorrow with a thunder shower spreading from the coast to inland, high 84 to 87. And partly sunny on Sunday with a shower or thunderstorm, high 84 to 87. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Steve Travis.
Alice?
Yes, George. George, you're all wet.
I went to Devon Self-Storage and put back my fishing gear.
Okay. You know Devon Self-Storage is open early and you had all day to bring your fishing gear back, and they're right across from Hobby Lobby.
I know. I have my own code to get into Devon Self-Storage, and their phone number, too, is 873-0777.
So why did you wait till it started raining?
I didn't. I slipped getting the boat out of the water.
Boat?
Bye!
George?
Now is the time to take advantage of Florida Credit Union's CD specials. Our 36-month CD comes in at 1.26% APY. A 24-month is working for you at 1.0% APY. And our 12-month at 0.75% APY. All CD rate specials require $10,000 minimum. With friendly service and low rates like these, it's not hard to see why Florida Credit Union has your CD options covered. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Call 352-237-8222 for more information.
The following message is brought to you by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
This hurricane season, the most important thing you can do for your family and your business is to develop a hurricane preparedness plan. Florida's Division of Emergency Management's website, floridadisaster.org, now has a planning tool that will help you come up with your plan. All it takes is a few minutes to get a plan to better protect your family and your business when a hurricane threatens. Get a plan. Get yours at floridadisaster.org.
Sign up for this year's Marion County Heart Walk and be part of a local movement that's helping others live longer, healthier lives. Join Chairman Dr. Jim Henningsen and walk with us on Saturday, October 5th at Baseline Road Trailhead. It's a free event promoting physical activity and heart-healthy living. To find out how you can help the fight against the #1 killer of all Americans, visit us online at marionheartwalk.org.
Universal Soil Solutions, steps to solving the sinkhole process. Step 3, get educated.
Know what's going on, and this way you know what to expect. There's no unknown. Anybody can be a success story as long as you educate yourself about what's going on with the process.
Step 4, take control.
And some nights they actually work by headlight and spotlight, making sure my yard was raked, my walkways were hosed down, my house was clean.
We are your sinkhole solution. Universal Soil Solutions, where integrity meets trust. For additional information, call 877-519-2777 or visit our kiosk in the Paddock Mall Center Court.
Car problems got you down? Having trouble getting that broken down clunker to the mechanic? D&D Towing has all your towing solutions to get you exactly where you need to go and back on the road again. D&D can tow your car, your truck. They can even tow your RV to the mechanic of your choice. D&D is insured and bonded and been in business for 25 plus years. For all your towing needs from your car to your RV, contact D&D Towing at 352-732-7854. That's D&D Towing Service.